So the other thing that was quite interesting Saturday night at Golden Isle during the Lucas Oil feature, other than RTJ and Davenport and the dust up there, right after that, right after RTJ puts the door on Davenport, gets the lead, he goes back to the top in 1 and 2, opens the door for Madden, who had slipped by Davenport, and Madden gets the position, is clearly going to the lead, going to be your leader, and then the caution comes out right as they are coming to the stripe, just passing the stripe. I mean, there's some discrepancy there about when the caution actually came out. But regardless, the caution comes out, goes back to the last completed lap, which puts RTJ first, Madden second, Davenport third. They go single file, and then they run out the rest of the race. I think there's one caution, but it's still single file. But RTJ wins the race. I don't think he wins the race if it's reverse there. If Madden is put in the lead, he wins. It's whoever's winning at that point wins the race. Leading at that point, wins the race. They said it was RTJ, but there is some discussion about when that caution came out, who should have been leading.
So just start. So there's a lot to unpack there. A lot of stuff happened in that little window, from the caution to the restart being single file and McCready slowing for no apparent reason, and deciding the outcome of a race so he could change a tire. A lot to unpack there. But the ultimate thing is the way it played out. I think Lucas Oil got it right. Madden was not robbed. Um, well, let me back up. If they crossed the line and the race director had not called the caution, then that was a mistake. He 9 out of 10, 9 times, I would say 99 times out of 100, unless the race director is for some reason looking down or looking somewhere else, that caution is going to be called over the receiver before they get back to the flag stand. How could you not see them racing two side by side, coming down the off of turn 4, and McCready sitting there barely moving? Every race director I know who's any good is going to call the caution immediately over the receiver. And I think that's what happened because Madden didn't complain much. Didn't Madden's not one to shy away from voicing his opinion.
I expected Madden to. I'm like, we already had the whole RTJ Davenport thing was going to be interesting. I thought Madden was going to just, rip him a new one for not putting him in the lead. But Madden is kind of known for if he has something he's upset about, he's going to let you know. And he mentioned it, but he didn't really. He didn't. It wasn't typical Madden and his giving you his what he exactly thinks about it type of thing.
Right. And so that tells me that I would bet money, just knowing how professional the Lucas Oil Series is and how many officials eyes they have on it, that the caution was called well before they got to the flag stand, probably before they got to McCready. And Madden was aware of that. All those guys were aware of that. And this brings up my next point: is it doesn't matter. And I've seen people in comments, and even a YouTuber says that they got the screenshots and the video shows that the light was still green when they went by McCready and when they crossed the flag stand. That does not matter. What matters is when the race director calls the caution. And this goes back to
we should also clarify the rule is leader plus 3, right? It's leader plus 3 cars. If they cross, it's a lap complete. If you don't get that, you go back to it. Doesn't matter if the leader's across. If 3 more cars haven't crossed, you're going back to the last lap.
And so it could have been in that scenario, you had the leader, which was Madden, and then the next 2 cars were RTJ and Davenport, and then it could have been a lap car, could have been anyone, but they needed one more car to get across the line before the caution came out, across the loop before the caution came out. And that may have happened, may not have. I don't know. I'm not. It doesn't matter.
I haven't seen any clear video that shows a 4th car crossing the line, the 3rd car after the leader. We know Madden, RTJ, Davenport cross, but there's nothing that shows another car crossing before the yellow light was displayed.
And to be clear, some series like the Hunt the Front Super Dirt series, our series, it's leader plus 2. Right. In Bray Cook series, at least in the past, I'm not sure, probably the same way this year, it's the whole field. Yeah. So it's different from series to series. But the point is, what needs in this case, that did not matter because the caution, and I'm making some assumptions to be fair, but I would bet the house just about on that the caution was called before the leaders even got to the finish line. Just knowing the race director had to be watching that because of everything that just transpired, and he had to see McCready sitting there, and immediately hits the receiver button and calls the caution. The problem is this goes back to that virtual flagman. Is there's a delay between the race director calling the caution to the drivers The scorer is probably going to be is sitting right beside whoever's working the computer for the scoring system is sitting right beside the race director. Hears him call caution and hits the button. Officially, that's when the caution comes out. Is whenever the scorer hits the button and the system starts, you know,
Yeah.
saying,
There's
"Hey,
probably
caution's out."
even a further delay from the flagman hearing it
That's
and
the other thing.
turning the
For
light caution.
for us watching from home, there's even more of a delay because it sometimes some tracks that flagman is wearing the receiver, and I think to me that's the best way to do it because then he hears the race director call caution, or he has a radio. So the receiver, the race director may actually have two forms of communication there. One to the drivers to say caution, which is going to be your first
Right.
call, right? You're
And
going to tell the drivers caution
and then he's got
first,
to
right?
key up a different radio and tell the
Well,
flagman
it
caution.
depends on there's a million different not a million, but there's multiple different ways you can do that, have that scenario set up. I don't know how Lucas Oil or how Golden Isles does it. But yes, there could be a delay. And I'm thinking there was some delay between him calling caution, drivers hearing it over the receiver, score hearing it and hitting the button, and then it being relayed to the flag stand. And here's the thing: we don't know. He might not have heard it. The flagman is closest to the racing. It might be
Has
hard
the
to
most
hear.
noise.
It has the most noise, but then him flipping the light on
Hmm.
and throwing the caution flag. There's a delay there. You cannot. It's very important to know this. In most cases, in short track racing, you cannot go by when the light turns on. That's
Right.
not the indicator for a caution. It's when it's called on the receiver and the scorer hits the caution button.
Right.
This goes again. I think this timely. This is very timely because we're talking about the virtual flagman, right? And
So would
and
that have changed this outcome here with
so
that system that, well, going back to last week, was it Lincoln Speedway, I believe?
right in
And they're doing away
Pennsylvania.
with the flagman and they're coming out with this virtual flagman system, which is pretty much every bit of it's operated by the race director, I guess.
I don't know why it's not a virtual. I don't know why they call it virtual. It's just is there's no flag in that. There can be a flagman, but the flagman is not, you know,
He's
in
just
charge of
waving
the
the flag.
caution. It's just waving the flag, and that's
He's
really how it is
symbol.
now. It's just doing
He's just
away.
a symbol, if you will, symbolic
Yeah,
there because we want a flagman because that's what we've always had.
right. But they're doing away that is eliminating that gap, right? And the way that's going to work, and is my understanding. It's funny because we looked into these systems at PRI for the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. Um, we had our race director Travis Scott there, and also our head of production Logan Gibson there, and we're all trying to come up with a way. How can we make this to avoid this situation? Because we had a similar situation, a little bit different at Rome with Dale
With Dale
McDowell, but
McDowell, right?
something we want and I think would be ideal and perfect for this situation. And this is the way these systems work: is the race director has the button, right? That button is he's calling caution over the receiver at the same time he can be hitting the button caution, and it goes to the scoring system and signifies there that we're no longer scoring. The caution, we're whatever the prerequisites or however the system handles a caution based on the rules, we're putting that into action. We're no longer scoring if they cross the line, and it works the lights, right. And what we were looking for is it also goes to production, and immediately in the live stream the caution comes on in the ticker somewhere,
So
right.
what you could theoretically say is that the live stream, assuming there's a green light on the live stream, would be simultaneous, the yellow light coming on with the caution actually being called.
In theory, now if there's some kind of technical difficulty, but in theory, if that system is working the way it should, when that race director simultaneously calls caution on the receiver and hits the button, and it should
Hmm.
be set up in a way that he can do both at the same time, the immediately triggers the caution lights both on the track for everyone to see around the track,
And he's
the
calling caution
stream,
for the drivers to
and
hear
this
too.
and well, it actually does the stream would be hooked up through scoring,
Hmm.
and the score when it comes caution comes out for scoring, it triggers to the live stream.
Well,
If
and then
everything's working
immediately,
smooth, working as it should, and no issues, yes, that is how these
right?
virtual flagman setups should work.
And the scoring system will tell you if the fourth car had crossed or not.
Yeah, it'll know. Like it'll pick it
Hmm.
up if the fourth car or whatever the requirement is to count a lap crossed before that button was pushed, it would count it. And of course, the score could change that, I guess, and cause some controversy there. But ultimately, no, it should be a much smoother and less controversial, more transparent. I think is what we're looking for here. How to be more transparent to specifically avoid situations
That
like
decide the
the other
outcome of the
night.
race.
Yes, and stir up
Well,
controversy.
needless to say, I think we all agree the right call was made. Me and you agree, rather. I don't know about
Yeah.
everyone listening. Everybody's got their own
I
opinion and they're entitled to it. But me and you agree the right call was made
Yeah,
as
and
far
I
as
think it's not. I don't
RTJ
think it was
leading.
even personally. I don't even think it was up for debate. Right? Like I don't
Hmm.
think there's like I think people making controversy out of this don't understand how things, you know, really work.
That's
you know,
usually how it is.
yeah.